All right, and we're back for another episode. We've got a really special guest here today. Elliot, tell me what's been happening. How's things going?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been good. Life is good. Yeah, been busy, but hey, that's how it goes, doesn't it?
It does. Everyone's busy, but we're really happy to have you here. We got some great questions for you from students who are very interested in the career path in marketing. I'm going to jump into the top questions that have been asked by students. And the first one that we have for you is, how did you get into marketing?
I first got into marketing by just doing photos and video for different people and for different jobs. And it just kind of snowballed from there, where I just kind of naturally fit into the sort of space, into a kind of an open space in a couple of jobs that I had that did relate to marketing, but not specifically.
So it was never an interest growing up that, hey, I want to do marketing. It just slowly evolved. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Next question that we have for you asked by students is, what are the typical tasks that you do on the job?
So my job is more in content creation. So I'm photographing, I am producing videos, and I'm editing. Sometimes I'm even doing animation and voiceovers as well. So in that particular sphere, it's just media. But in other positions, it can be more communications based.
So a lot of different things, but can you break it down from, let's say, start of the day to right to the end? What does that look like? Is that a 9 a.m. start to 5 p.m.? And then how are you splitting yourself across all those different tasks that you do?
Yeah, so I am employed full-time, 5 days a week, and I start at 8:30 and finish at 4:30 each day. A typical day will kind of consist of checking in on emails and catching up with my other colleagues on any news, and just kind of communicating between each of us with what projects need to be focused on and what will be coming up.
So that's first thing in the morning, 8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Till roughly when? When is that?
Usually around till about 9, give or take. And then from there, we just kind of go on with the projects and tasks that we need to take care of. And we'll liaise with other employees or each other in the team and just focus on getting the tasks done for the day.
So in some ways, do you know what each day comes, or can it change quite rapidly all at the same time?
Not always. I don't always know what's going to happen. Sometimes it can be very straightforward, like I'm just editing this video for the next 3 days. Other days, an executive can come in and go, hey, we've got a special visitor here. Let's take some photos. And then I'll just have to grab the camera, go around to the front, and then just take care of that. Sometimes there are interruptions. Sometimes you just get into a real flow state with your projects. But for the most part, that's how it usually goes.
Yeah, no, that sounds absolutely fascinating when you have so many different things to look at on a day-to-day basis, but also having some consistency based on, project work and whatnot.
Yeah.
Next question that we have for you, and this is a very popular one, is, do you require a university degree to have a career in marketing?
No, you don't. Some job places might want you to have a degree. Others might not care so much. I don't have a degree particularly for myself. I do have a degree in graphic design, but for the most part, it's just experience that I've been able to, it's just different jobs and stuff that I've had experience in that I'm able to bring to the table for my workplace.
Very interesting. Did you, as someone who does not have a degree specifically in the areas of marketing, did you find that a massive challenge when you were looking for work, when you were looking for experience? Can you give us your take on that?
Not so much as a challenge, but more of just a focus for myself to make sure that any prospective employer understands that I actually do have the knowledge, skills and experience to do the work that they might be asking.
Absolutely. Now, very interesting. Next question that we have, and this leads quite naturally into the next question, is, was it difficult for you to find a job? And maybe if you can also share with us, what was that whole process?
For myself, it wasn't too hard to find work. And it was all through people that I actually knew. So the last few jobs that I've had have been through, the regular application process, but it was never just some cold application from Seek. or anything. It's usually been via a phone call or a conversation about an opportunity.
What was the process? Like, did you just make the phone call? Did you just reach out to people? I mean, that's not easy, right? Where did that skill come from? How did you do that? Like, just can you give someone, let's say, some advice on how to do that and what to do and where do they look and who do they call?
Yeah, well, I remember it was in my early 20s. I was about 22 or 23 when I first started in a job in IT, actually, at a college. So it was primary school and high school. And I wasn't too sure about it because it was kind of related to, kind of tech and media and whatnot. And I did have a little bit of understanding and knowledge in that area, but I saw it as a step up to where I was kind of wanting to go anyway. And it was actually through a friend of a friend that I ended up going and having a chat to. And he said, oh yeah, it's only a part-time position. Yeah, point me in the right direction and I'll, go apply. And it was pretty straightforward from there. I was essentially the only applicant for that job. And that made it pretty easy.
Yeah, power of networking. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. And this is really important for young students out there, that understanding that it goes beyond than just what you know and what you learn at school or what you learn in a degree. It's about who you know and it's about the networks that you create. So I really like that example. Next question that we have for you is, did anything surprise you when you first started working in your career?
I would probably say the thing that surprised me probably the most is that people don't think the same way you do. So my approach to work and my sort of mindset in media might be different to other people. And it can just take a little extra effort to communicate my ideas or expectations, their own expectations. So probably the most surprising challenge is just learning to work with different characters and different personalities within a team environment.
Fair enough. And is that still a surprise today, or are you much better at dealing with it now?
I guess sometimes it catches me off guard, but I wouldn't say it's a surprise because, I mean, that's life. You got to be ready to, work with different people.
Yeah, no, really good advice. Next question that we have for you, asked by students, is, does your role and your career, does it provide good work-life balance?
Yes, it does. However, that's completely up to me, and that's my responsibility because there might be delivery deadlines coming up and, the pressure is on. And so it's completely up to me whether or not I take my work home. Now, generally, workplaces will be, particularly my workplace, they don't want me to be working when I'm not in the office. And I like that. It means we're both on the same page and it means I can rest while I'm at home. I'm able to chill out. But when I'm back in the office the next day, I'm able to, get down and get work done.
Excellent. And personally for yourself, you've got a great environment that allows you to switch off, right? Work during office hours only. But do you find yourself working on weekends, working after hours? How do you manage that personally from a personal work-life balance perspective?
So my full-time work, I keep to the general 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Because I also do a little bit of freelance on the side, I do have to work outside of normal work hours. And that includes weekends, obviously, because I might be photographing a band for their EP launch a Friday night, and I've got to get the photos to them either the next day or within the next week. And I can't do that at work at my full-time job. So I've basically got to figure it out myself and maybe put on a podcast and, just chill on the couch while I edit through photos.
Yeah, interesting. So you merge it in between the other stuff that you do outside of work. And I guess that is a good way to kind of zone off and also take some rest.
Yeah.
So no, a really good perspective on that. Next question, and by far the most popular question that we get from students to date across all careers, Elliot, and that is, what is the pay structure like for a career in marketing? And can you give us a bit of perspective of, how did it start for you? And maybe where can it go as well?
So my journey would probably be considered a little more unique because I started in a part-time capacity for a small organization, and that was only, the equivalent of 18K a year. But the next job I had, although that was the next job after was in IT, that was part-time. However, that actually involved opportunity to grow down the track. And I basically went from about 18K a year up to somewhere around 58 or 60K a year. And with just general inflation, that increased over the next few years. And the position that I'm in now, I'm just shy of 70K. So that's a pretty reasonable and a pretty comfortable sort of area. However, like everyone, you'd like to be able to step it up a little bit, but I'm able to enjoy life. I'm able to live comfortably as long as I play it smart.
Absolutely. It's all subjective. I think number one, when it comes to pay structure and pay salary.
Yeah.
Interesting to know about your trajectory and your uniqueness in this field. For you, somewhere around the 70K right now in career marketing, where do you see that going? Do you have an idea on that? Is that something you focus on, or is that something that you have maybe a little bit of a clue of where it can kind of go further?
So the different sort of areas you can be in marketing can range from positions around 50K right up to, 150K, 200K plus. Just depends on the company that you're with. If you happen to look at the typical job listings for, the mid-range sort of upper positions of marketing, you can be, you're lucky. You'd be doing pretty well if you ended up going 110. Or even 90K or something like that. But for myself, I'm not far off 30. So if I was able to, get up to, 75 or 80, then that's great. However, I'm able to survive. I'm able to, live on what I am at the moment. There is a lot of opportunity to grow and expand.
That's great to know. I think that's number one. Knowing that you still have a huge buffer for opportunity makes it obviously worthwhile as well in terms of growing not only as an individual but also being compensated for it. So last question that we have for you is, what do you find most difficult about the job? And we want honest truth. We want the real examples. What do you find really difficult?
My people skills, because sometimes I can be socially awkward. We all can, but it is working with different characters that have different work ethics to you. Even though you might be moving towards the same goal, it's about kind of molding yourself in such a way to really complement what your colleagues are doing to, work the best you can in everything. That's probably one of the most difficult things for myself personally. But the other thing, another difficult area is probably time management with really heavy workloads. So you want to be able to get videos out, get photos out as quickly as possible. And sometimes, you can't do anything about it. So you've kind of got to work with yourself a little bit, be honest with yourself, also be open and clear with the people that you're working with, just to know that their expectations are, reflective of what is actually going on. You do have to be honest with yourself, particularly because you can overestimate or underestimate or how much time something will take.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And really appreciate your honesty there, because every one of us have challenges in our careers, and it's about recognizing it and then obviously finding a way forward. So we really appreciate that, Elliot, especially in the world of marketing where you're doing a million things at once and you're trying to get content out. So that wraps up all of our questions for you today. Thank you so much for being here. For our listeners who have more questions for Elliot that did not feature on our list today and would like to connect with him, just visit our website, careerview.com.au. This is where you'll find Elliot's profile, and you can send him some questions and he can respond when he's not too busy and give some good advice there. And with every episode, please don't forget to submit questions that you want to know to young professionals who've been there, who've done that, and can share their story. Elliot, before we let you go, one last question that we want to ask you is, for anyone out there who is aspiring to look in a career in marketing, what advice would you give them?
Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way to become the best to become the best version of yourself. And sometimes it can be harder than you expect. Don't put unreal expectations on yourself, but also allow things to take time, because I didn't get to the point that I'm at right now by studying for a couple of years and then applying for a job and then getting it. I've been doing media and I've been doing this sort of thing for, decade and a half, ever since I was in my early teens, really. And I've just allowed time to do its thing, making sure that if I'm working on a project, I'm actually doing it with the intent to make it good. I'm doing a project with the intent to make it as best as possible. So because I've been naturally interested in this sort of field, it's just the natural way that I've gone. And I've allowed the different projects and the different types of people I've worked with to slowly build up my my portfolio and my skills in working in this area and working in this field.
Fantastic. Elliot, thank you so much and appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me.